I don't know. You never know who the crazies are. I could be the crazy, so you have to watch out for me being here.
You
could
never
be the crazy, so I'm already sitting across from you. So
exactly. Well, you tell me to watch out for crazies, but then you tell me I can't figure out who they are, so I don't understand what the
you just
advice
gotta
here
watch
is.
out for them. You
All
never
right.
know.
You're listening to the AVIT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro-AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again to the AVIT Amplifier. As always, I am your host, Ryan Gray, and we are back for week 2 with my friend and now your friend, Miss Brittany Grant. Brittany, would you please remind everybody who you are and what you do?
Yep. I am Brittany Grant, and I am audiovisual specialist here at Ames Community College. And my fun job is stage manager at a local roadhouse.
Local roadhouse. So yeah, so like we talked about in the last episode, from doing capital project in higher ed to loading shows in and out on the same day, you are running the gamut of what it is to yeah, exactly. But to do this sort of AV stuff in your community. So thank you for coming back for week 2 and sharing so much with us last week about who you are and what you do. So I got a list of questions here for you. But one I tend to start with is, and it goes into something that we talked about before, is do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I'd have to say both.
Why?
So there's certain aspects where I am very much a people person, and I love to be around people. But I definitely do much better when I have my quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to go home and watch movies and sit with the cat.
All right.
Just have a nice quiet night at home. But I can come across as a little bit more extroverted.
Yeah.
Times.
Is there which one would, if you had a week straight by yourself or a week straight, working in public with other people, which one would feel more tiring at the end of the week?
People.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
100%. Okay. Well, you do a good job with people, so I think you're in good shape there. So how do you so as someone, you work on campus, you're working long days doing things, those are very collaborative jobs. So are there things you do to make sure you can be successful in those sort of extroverted environments?
I'm definitely learning to step away for a few moments if I need to. Not quite touch grass, but touch grass in a sense.
Yeah.
And just kind of, honestly, actually a little bit of fidget toys. I mean, just something to keep my mind off of what is actually happening as I look around my desk and see every fidget toy that I have.
What's your favorite fidget toy?
The one I do that just kind of sits there is this one, and I just click and clack it around.
Nice. Yeah.
But I try not to do that if my mic is on.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much
it's
of it
a little loud. Yeah.
But I have these cute little duckies.
Nice.
That are just nice little handhold.
Yeah.
I also have some dice. So
Helpful.
just little clickety clack dice, and then obviously stress balls. So this one's
That's a good one.
I have a chicken. I have an aardvark. Hold on.
Wow. You have a stress aardvark.
I do. He's got a little heart.
Nice.
This is Artie. That is our mascot.
Artie. Nice.
Artie the aardvark. Got a little one here. Not quite a stress ball, but got a little ducky.
Nice.
And I know I got a few more, but that's all that's currently within reach.
Well, if you're listening on your podcast app, this right here is the reason why you need to, find us on YouTube every once in a while, because you know what I'm saying? Then you get to see the fit. So I'm the same way. I have at home, what? Oh, what do you have? Yay. Nice. Yeah. Caution. Do you ever put that caution cone up when you're like, hey, don't bother me today? Caution before coming in this.
No, but I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a hard hat rolling around here somewhere. But...
Not. Oh, here's a fair question. Do you have your own hard hat?
Yes.
You're gonna do you? Okay, good. I was gonna say
Do you want me to, I can pull it out right now?
Yeah. This is important. So every person who works AV on campus should have a hard hat. You should have a whole set of the whole thing. Nice.
So
Safety
there's
pays.
a company who just did one of our Windsor buildings.
All right.
So I think I'll probably need a new one for this next building.
I was going to say different.
Just because age, because this one's almost 2 years old.
There you go. I'm going to give you the best advice I can give when it comes to when contractors are working on your campus, which is get one of their vests with their logo on it. And then when you walk onto the site, the subcontractors will assume you work for the main contractor, and they'll tend to do whatever you tell them to do. I'm not saying that I've had some projects in the past where things were getting so frustrating. I just had to go in and be like, look, these boxes here, move them. I don't care what else is going on, move them. And if you say it with enough force, people will just do whatever you tell them to if you're wearing the right logos. So, nice.
True. Okay. I'll take that into consideration for this next one.
It may or may not be the right thing to do, but I have had to do that in the past, is all I'm saying. Okay.
It's a tool in the toolbox.
That is true. So, at home I have all kinds of fidget stuff. And then here at the office, I have like the same thing, like these little mic clippies for holding the cord onto this arm, right? But it's always like, it's in my hand, it's flipping around, it's doing something because, I can't not.
Velcro, yeah.
I think that is a key like piece of advice is to have little things to mess with. For a long time, I had a beam clamp that was in my desk drawer, and I would like clamp it down onto my finger and let it go, clamp it down onto my finger, and until I was just like, this meeting is driving me so crazy, and just to keep concentrating, I was like, all right, that's probably not
just
healthy.
Have all these dents everywhere.
Smash my own finger with it because I can't stay on this meeting one more minute. Cool. Okay. Is there a day you can think of looking back that changed your life in some way, but you didn't really know it at the time?
Yeah. First time I actually got fired.
Ooh.
Well, it was the next morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I got fired over a voicemail on Sunday at 6 p.m.
Wow.
And, so that was, it was not great. And no real good reason, but Colorado's an at-will state, so.
It just happened that way.
It did. There's a lot more details to it that I'm not going to put out into the world.
So would it be your advice in the future if someone has to separate an employee to leave them a voicemail at 6 p.m. on a Sunday to do so?
No, and especially not 2 days after their sister's wedding.
Not cool.
It was, and again, there's more details to it that I would be like, don't do that, but also especially in this situation, don't do that.
Okay. So then without going into that situation, would you say that in the long run, things have worked out for the best after that?
Yes, because my first call, because I literally got the voicemail when I was leaving dinner, immediately went back to my parents' house and bawled in front of them and my grandparents and everybody else. But then the next morning, about 10 o'clock after I slept in and took a deep breath, I called my mentor, Dave, and because he was currently working at the church that we were both going to and that I was on the tech team for I was 15 years almost. And I just said, hey, can I stop by? Do you have time to stop by? And we sat and talked for 2.5 hours. And he just took time out of his day and we sat and talked. And then I drove for Lyft for a couple months. I tried to do life insurance sales. I'm not a salesperson, but I'm also not afraid of the phone as much anymore.
Okay.
So I will say that. So that definitely, again, this conversation kind of sparked a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
But then it opened up my schedule a lot to be able to go and work after he transitioned out of the church and into UCCC, which is the name of the roadhouse. Union Colony Civic Center. I haven't said the actual name, but that's it. And so he transitioned over there, and he was like, I'm looking for some bodies to come and work, and I had a lot of availability, and that just launched me into this. And then during COVID, they furloughed 50 55 people from our theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of overhire, but it was still, it was basically everyone.
Yeah.
And I was one of 4 people that got brought back to do the events and things that needed to happen still in the thing. And so it was definitely what launched me into more full-time work options. And then moved into stage managing and doing all of that, and just kind of did that, and then went back to college and got my degree, and this position opened up and stepped into it, and here we are 2 years later from getting that job. So
You never know. Like, that's that thing
it
is
just kind of, yeah.
you never
And
know
I
how
don't
those
know that
things are going to work.
I ever would have stepped into it other than that firing. So
Nice.
both the worst days of my life in a sense, because leading up to that, it was definitely a time to step away, and I knew that my time there was ending. I just didn't realize it was going to be in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And that's an important thing to remember. Like, a lot of people have those stories to go like, that felt like a bad day, but from it, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have traded the results of it. So
Right.
that's awesome. All right. So a related question that I have here, which would be in a different version of the multiverse where you do not work in technology in any way, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I kind of think about this a lot of like, if in a sense the world collapsed kind of a thing, and like just things happened and it was all different, what would I do? And I kind of recently I've been settling in on baking.
Okay.
Large scale baking. And I don't know why. I'm definitely more cook than baker.
Okay.
I can't follow a recipe to save my life. I always put my own spin on something. Either I add a little bit more of this, or I'm like, oh, I don't have that exact ingredient, I'll throw this in. Can't really do that with baking too well. But nothing has ever really turned out poorly. Really bad. Just not great. But I think maybe baking.
Okay. What is it that's drawing you? You know, you just said too, it's interesting to say, well, I'm more cook than baker, but now baking is so what is the difference? What is drawing you into that?
I don't know. I think maybe large scale, working the dough, getting it done, and then you have a product of it that's whatever it is, be it sourdough or whatever. And then you almost have to, and I think what I come back to is it's kind of a repetitive job, but it's different because the conditions change. So tech, but not tech.
Yeah, exactly.
So every day I'm kind of doing the same things, but every day is different because you never know what you're going to walk into. And baking, I guess, is kind of the same thing as the humidity is different and different things. So
baking is chemistry, you know what I'm saying? And you've got to
So
pay
much.
attention. Yeah.
But I feel like once I get the routine down, because I am also very much a routine person. So, and I think that might be where that stems from.
Nice. What's something you made that you thought's come out really well?
I actually, one of my favorite ones, not as recently, but was a quiche.
Okay.
A really cool quiche, and actually, there's a photo on my Instagram that I just happened to get the photos of it just right, that I was able to do all 4 stages
Nice.
in the photo, and so it looks really cool. So that's one of them. I did a banana bread that turned out really, really well. I will say I do Toll House cookies.
Nice. Yeah.
I just don't even, I just take them out and I do little squares and actually do them in the air fryer. So
Ooh, cool.
yeah, no, it's
Nice.
simple. Again, just me and the cat, and so when I want a sweet treat, I don't want to bake the whole.
Yeah, the whole thing. All right, so 2 quick follow-ups, which is 1, where would people find this Instagram? And 2, how quickly can you send me a banana bread?
I can't send you banana bread right now.
Why not?
Like I don't have any. I don't have any bananas for the freezer.
Well, let's go. That doesn't sound like an excuse to me. Come on now.
Maybe in January.
All right. Throw
Yeah.
down. I see. Okay. You can't
but
be goaded
Instagram-
into shipping baked goods is what I'm hearing.
No,
Well
really,
done.
no. Definitely more of a hand deliver
Okay.
thing. But they Instagram is at BT FORHAM.
All right. All right. We will find it and link it in there because
Yeah, there's cat, beer, and some baking stuff.
sounds fantastic. The thing now with like, baking things and making things and the ability to like document it and share it with people, like this is the golden age of that, right?
Yeah.
You can see so many people's examples and you do something like my brothers and my dad will never not see something that I've put on the meat smoker, right? They're going to see it raw when it went on, and they're going to see it when it came off, and they don't have a choice on that because I'm going to get a picture and I'm going to text it to them because that's just how life works now.
There you go. Yeah.
We all live vicariously through the amazing things we see other people doing and going,
Yes.
why am I not making that thing now? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. I don't have a counter space currently, so that's why a lot of things don't get baked.
There you go. Well, you got to, yeah. We always have to have the right tools in the right space to do anything. Technology, baking, whatever. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what would you, all right, I like this. What do you think is the scariest animal?
I don't know. I kind of all depends. I have a few friends that are very terrified of birds.
Mm.
So I'm for them, I'm a little more hyper vigilant for birds in certain areas, and we have a flock of turkeys that have been making their rounds.
So why are they afraid of birds?
Different reasons. It's just one of those fears that they have for their own reasons. And,
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So one of them actually got stalked. She went with me to Orlando Infocom 2 years ago, and they two cranes were basically following her around this shopping center while I was at Infocom.
Was that just like my worst nightmare has come true? The birds are after me?
Yep. So she, she went in and had to go get a Dunkin' Donuts because birds were.
She had to hide in a Dunkin' Donuts from the cranes are sitting outside smoking on the curb like, we can wait you out. We're not leaving till you. Oh.
And then I think she ended up calling an Uber to come back and pick her up for a lift. So
I mean, that's not funny. I'm not laughing about that.
No. But I would say, I don't know, I live up near the mountains, and so we get a lot of animals and whatnot. I would say just coming across a random animal kind of in the woods.
Yeah.
So my dad takes care of a property up in Estes Park.
Ooh, yeah,
so
I
we
love
just
Estes
spent a little bit of time up there, and there was an elk in the backyard when we got back from downtown. And so it was like we had to walk between that and him in the house to get inside. And so it was like, is it safe? Like,
yeah.
And my dad was like, well, you can try. I was like, or do you want to open the back door? He was like, just try. So
you're right. Sometimes it doesn't matter. The most scary animal is the unexpected one, right?
Yeah.
The one you didn't see till you were right next to it. And then,
Yeah, there's that is definitely for sure.
There you go. Well, there's something philosophical about that I like. We'll have to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I'll have to pull that from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay. What's something that you've recently changed your mind about?
How I feel about certain people. Yeah. Not much detail on that one, but just some situations happened, and it was like, maybe you were not the person I thought you were.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it's just, that's part of human life and relationships, and it's just how sometimes the cookie crumbles.
To bring it back. And so, okay, without, any, particulars about that, do you find that that's sort of like a function of like a behavior of somebody, like you have I guess I'll ask a question by making a statement, which is, and it's, again, I've endorsed therapy on this show before. It's not a surprise, but one of the things I talk is I have this tendency of trying to build a mental model of people, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, no, I can predict how this person will react, or I can whatever, because I've built a model of who this person is. And that often ends up being inaccurate or something like that. And then I always end up surprised in some way because I've oversimplified. When you say, like, I have to change your mind about somebody, does that usually come with sign of evidence? I guess God, this is a long question. let's put it this way. Do you find that that's more something of inductive or deductive? That is, I had an idea about somebody, but now new evidence has told me that's not correct, or the other way around, which is I've observed something and that has changed the conclusion.
I've observed some things and
Okay.
that's changed the conclusion.
All right. I know it's probably a hard, like I keep, let's follow up on this one without asking specifics. That's a hard one to dive
a little
into.
bit,
So
but
let's
yeah,
not
no,
do
it's,
that. Okay.
Yeah, no, just some people reacted otherly than I expected them to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't sound like they surprised you in a good way. All right. I won't ask any more, but
No, you're good. You're good. It
Okay.
was just that was an interesting situation. So
okay. All right. Okay. So in the movie of your life, what do you want the title to be?
so the job that I got let go from, I always come up with these things of like, okay, and I haven't done this in a while, so I don't know what that says about some of the places I've worked, but like, maybe not a movie, but different things of like, reality shows.
Okay.
So like, if this was a reality show, how would that pan out? Which is funny because I hate reality shows.
Ah.
My brain goes to this, or different memoirs of what I would title things.
Yeah.
I haven't come up with any recently. I don't know, but kind of the one line that's going through my head right now. So okay, the one from Back Beyond that kind of makes me laugh. Is it was a plastic manufacturing company was one of the ones that I came up with this, and it was called Gaylords and Bubble Butts. Because when it was a tube of plastic that would come up, and every once in a while it would get really thin on one side, and so all of a sudden you'd get this big bubble
on
that
it.
would come out,
Yeah.
so it was a bubble butt.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would go up, and we'd have to rerun a bunch of stuff. And then the giant boxes were made by the Gaylord. Like, that's what they were called. Like, that was the brand, that was the thing. So it was Gaylords and Bubble Butts.
Another day heading over to deal with the Gaylords and Bubble Butts.
Yep, and I was
Nice.
quality control for them. So it
Wow.
was,
Yeah.
was an interesting situation. But kind of right now, currently, the one I go to is, I just lost the comedian's name. He's British, and he was on British Bake Off. And he had a display of something, and he was like, I had a breakdown, bon appetit. It's like, you know that? You started it, had a breakdown, bon appetit.
And this is the result.
this is
Like,
the-
it is what it is. Here it is.
I've had it. So that's kind of where my internal monologue goes back to a lot these days.
I love that. I think that is a great title for a memoir. Like you said, I started,
Yeah.
I had a breakdown, bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
And it's an invitation to read, right? Like,
Yeah.
I had a breakdown, and here's the story of what happened.
Yeah. And
I
so
love
his thing, and I can't remember what it is, I can just picture it. And it was one of the ugliest things that he had created.
Nice.
So.
I love it. Okay, so
It's going to bother me not to remember his name. I'll get there eventually. Hopefully.
no problem. So to go back to something, so you said you don't like reality shows, but when I used to work live event, I always thought like a behind the scenes of like a theater or something like that, or the things we did, you would actually make a pretty interesting reality show out of all the thing of like subverting people's expectations of kind of what that life is like. You agree?
So much. Oh, yeah. But I think that's one of the things I don't like about reality shows is it romanticizes
Yeah.
the negative aspects of it. So it's like when we have these tours come in and you hear, to a certain extent, the newer ones, and some of the older ones have been doing it. Like there's the early ones and the later ones are always kind of bragging about their longest run is their longest thing. Of like, I worked so many hours in a row. I've done so many days in a row. I've done all this stuff. And it's like, but is that really help? Is that
Right.
is that good that we're breaking ourselves down in that sense? And you have kind of that middle group that's like, yeah, this isn't the healthiest. Like, I take my time where I can and very set boundaries. And Yeah, so it's kind of that aspect of it. And I think that's what I don't like about reality shows is it definitely romanticizes the negative aspects of a lot of different industries and friend groups and you name it, which is why there's the drama and that's why everybody loves it.
Yeah, and you're right. They're going to accentuate the tail ends of the bell curve, not the fat part of the bell curve. And sometimes that's where the good stories are. You know what I'm saying? Like, in live event, it would have to thrive on, like you said, a giant mistake made by somebody who's completely overworked and ruined a show versus look at this teamwork and camaraderie and how efficiently this thing got done. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and there's very few things like that. And I think the how it's made and like those different ones are why we like those is they're predictable. And you know that's what it is, but live events aren't predictable.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
There's always going to be somebody yelling, there's always going to be some safety thing, and there's always going to be some cord that got cut.
Something to it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't need to be hyper-focused on. I may remember every time I've messed up in the past 7 years, but doesn't mean I need everybody else to.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we need to commit that to videotape for all eternity. Yeah, I understand.
Don't need to digitize all that.
Right. Okay. Would you, so to you, would you say that people are generally good with a proclivity for evil or generally evil with a proclivity for good?
I honestly think it depends on the person.
Okay.
I don't think I could pick either one because I've definitely seen people who I haven't been overly impressed with do really cool, good things not being observed.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yeah.
You know, like they don't know that they're being observed, but then I've also seen people that are on the up and up that do some really shitty things when they don't think anyone's looking.
Mm.
So I think it goes both ways. And I also think it's the oh man, just the word loss is killing me today. The observed factor of something. So just by the nature of observing something, you change the outcome. So whether they know that you're watching or not, but I think that also has a big chunk.
That's interesting. Like it's the sort of the quantum state of individual behavior kind of goes into, like you said.
And I think it varies. I don't think it's a stagnant. I don't think everyone is one or the other. We're all humans, and the human body's weird. The brain is weird.
Yeah.
So one little thing that's off, and you're a completely different person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The human brain is weird, isn't it?
It's very weird.
Like.
That was one of the biggest things that I said when I was driving. Like, someone would get in the car and, like, tell me this story or something, or their ailments or whatever. And I'm like, body's weird. How do I respond to that?
Yeah. Yeah, the human brain, like, it's so sad. But the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, yeah, no. We're really still just mostly primates that have brains that taught us how to survive on the Serengeti 50,000 years ago. And we've just gotten okay at somehow rationalizing that into decisions we're actually making, but in the long run.
And I think if you want to go that route of it, back to the good, are we inherently good, or are we inherently evil? Like, just look at the chimpanzees. Like, some of them are really, like, loving to their the infants and the little ones, and others are really aggressive towards them. And if it's not theirs, they kill it. And some of them don't care. Yeah. So I think it depends on the being itself.
Interesting. All right. Well, so then my follow-up on that then is always, so how does that inform how you, move through the world or navigate, relationships in different venues?
I am very much I try to see the best in every situation. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt more times than I should. I see the good or the potential good in every outcome. Until I don't. Yeah. Until that bridge has been burned too many times, and that once that switch gets flipped, it's really hard to flip it back. And some people are learning that. Okay. Not necessarily in the right way.
I understand. But it's that, like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to start from this place. But once you've given me evidence otherwise.
Defend, and I will find every direction that I can to defend what is is happening around me, what is going on, until I can't.
Okay.
And then I'm just done.
All right. That is a far more common answer to that kind of question than I think you would think, the way you're answering it there. So I think you're in good company. Okay.
Good to know.
Same last three questions for everybody. Third to last question is what is a question you wish you would be asked, but nobody ever asks it?
How was hot air balloon camp?
Okay, well, we can't leave that one alone. How was hot air balloon camp?
It was one of those other things that is a completely different part of my life that just didn't pan out in the right way. And so I was going to build a hot air balloon, and I crewed for the Tweety Bird balloon for the longest time. And I was going to do a Bob the Tomato.
Wow.
And then I just grew out of it, turned 18, and decided I didn't want to do it anymore. But at the age of 13, went to a hot air balloon camp.
So you flew, you crewed, and we're going to fly hot air balloons.
Yeah, and I did fly hot air balloons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah, we just had a rally here at Ames a couple weeks back, and it was literally the perfect situation where everyone ended up going east, where they normally all go west.
Mm-hmm.
They normally go east, and they ended up going west. Sorry. And then there's things at different festivals where you can make a square. So you go up, you can catch wind, and then come back down, and then catch the wind back.
Move back.
And then if you can land back in the field that you launched in, bonus points. We had a couple almost do that.
Yeah.
A couple balloons almost did that. And then different bullseye games that you can play. But again, it was literally just perfect weather for this launch day, and made me miss it a lot. And I got real nostalgic. So it was, yeah. So another one of those weird things of like previous life that I don't talk about often.
Well, that's all. Well, I'm glad you did. Now, that's so. How often? Like, when's the last time you were up in a hot air balloon?
Ooh, probably close to 15 years.
Wow.
It's been a while.
Well, we need to get Ames to start a ballooning certificate program, and then you could be an adjunct instructor for it.
No, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of weather. That's a lot of different things.
All right.
It is also very expensive.
Yeah, that's true. That's not a cheap hobby to have, I guess. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to have learned that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Second to last question. If people wanted to get connected with you or learn more about Brittany Grant, where would they go to do so?
I am on LinkedIn now. And then I mentioned my Instagram earlier.
All right.
I am also on the Facebooks and other things, but not as much. Yeah, I'm not big social media. I'm more of a stalker. I watch.
Yep.
I'll interact some, but I don't post a lot.
That is a very reasonable way to be online. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
100%. Okay. Well, we will link those accounts on the show so people can find you if they would like to. And finally, last question. So the old school television news broadcasters ended their broadcasts, often with their kind of sign-off phrase. What is Brittany Grant's drop the mic sign-off phrase?
Thank you. Good night. Be safe. Watch out for crazies.
Thank you for listening to the AVIT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.